Brands on Brands.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today we're talking about logo designs for personal brands. Check it out.
In a world where content is king and your reputation is your brand, how do you build a brand that matters? Welcome to Brands on Brands, a home for those that think different and push their boundaries. This is where branding that matters lives. Now, here is your host, Brandon Berkmeyer.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Brands on Brands. I'm Brandon Berkmeyer, your personal branding coach, and I believe that building a brand that matters is the only way for a person to thrive tomorrow. Appreciate you guys listening and tuning in each week as we bring you thought leaders and advice and authors and speakers to talk to you about personal branding and how to build the brand of you so that you can continue to thrive in your life and in your work. And this week is no exception. We're talking about logo design and what some simple tips are for you to pick what is the right design for you. But before that, if this is your first time listening to the show, make sure to go to brandsonbrands.com to check out our freebies, our resources, and to sign up to get weekly messages from us about what is being released in the show and also with those resources. So appreciate you guys and check that out. And let's get into the show.
Brands on Brands.
All right. So what makes a great logo design for a personal brand? Now, the reason we ask this question is it may be different for a personal brand than for a corporate brand or a business brand that is not based on a person. What's different is you being a personal brand means that your reputation and everything about your brand identity is connected to who you are and not to some vague company name that isn't as known or as personal, right? So when thinking about your logo, I want you to have that same context. You want your logo to be easily identifiable and personal. And the key to all this is to keep it simple and to use something that is very connected to you and who you are, which for most people is going to be your name. That's right. So I'm going to give you 3 ways to think about what your logo should be using a mixture of names and symbols and things like that. The first is going to be your name/title. The second is going to be your initials or some type of symbol plus your name and title. And the third is going to be a signature. And this is, an autograph of some sort being using that as your logo. So let's go through the 3 of them, those 3 options. Now, what I'm excluding from this is a well-designed, professional, like emblematic type symbol logo that you would have created for your business brand that is based on your core values of the business and things like that. I think those are great things to do for a business that is not based on a person. But when it's a person, I think you got to keep it simple and true to just who you are and not overly done, especially if you're getting started, which most people are. So the first idea is your name/title. Again, this is just simply your name spelled out, your full name, and then under that, your title. Now, you can mix this up in different ways. You could have just done your name if you just first name, last name, and pick a strong font. So this is what gets unique about doing it this way is you can either pick a font that just speaks to you in some way, shape, or form, like look through all the fonts and pick one that when your name is spelled out is interesting. You can choose to make some letters larger than others, like the first letter of each of your first name and your last name. Make those letters larger than the rest of the word. So you can play with that, play with the size and the look of it. You can create a different color scheme for the background versus the foreground, for the letters versus the background. You can create shadows and highlights, and you can italicize it, not italicize it. Point is, make it look unique, but something that fits your personality of the brand. If you have a fun, kind of flirty brand, maybe it's in the health space or something like that, you can do something more flowy. But if you are doing something very serious, like a lawyer personal brand or something like that, you might want to use something more like traditional in terms of fonts, right? Pick a font that works and then figure out, like, color scheme wise, what you want it to look like. And what I'll say for all of these is you want a version of it that is just black and white. That is just black letters on a white background and on a transparent background that you can take and put anywhere, right? Because you're going to want this to be on your website, on your business cards, and everywhere else. So make sure you have versions of it that are like that. And then it's not just your name. A lot of the time it's your title too. So what it is that you do. And it's the title is not CEO in this case. The title is related to what you do to help people, right? If it is lawyer, I don't want you to say CEO of law firm XYZ. I want you to say lawyer, right? Attorney at law, or whatever you want to say, like whatever your title is. So if you are in the health space, I want you to say fitness coach or wellness coach or wellness coaching, right? Nutrition coach, nutrition coaching, whatever that thing is. If you're in the business space, again, business coach or business coaching. I like the ing versions of it. Just sounds a little bit better. It sounds less like a title and more like a what you do. And I think that works better for these kinds of things. So just imagine your name in big, bold letters, and then under that, business coaching, right? Easy, simple. You can sometimes separate that with a line between your name and the title. If you like, that's just a visual preference. Okay. So that's name and title. Now, if you have a really long name like I do, you might want to consider either stacking your name one on top of the other, Brandon on top, Berkmeyer on the bottom, and then spreading out the letters of the shorter name to match so that they create the same beginning and end points in the logo, right? And that's just something you can work with until it matches up perfectly. However, I still prefer, if you can, have it all together so that you can put the title under it, as opposed to having, multiple things stacked on top of each other. So full name and then under it, your title. And if the name is still too long, maybe just use your first initial of your first name with a, dot and then your last name. So for me, I'd probably use B. Berkmeyer, right? And then under that, branding coach or brand coaching, one of those things. So do something like that. That's option one. And again, play with the fonts until you find something that you really like. And then another option within that is you can actually go have someone create a font for you. Just Google create a font. And there are companies that are out there for not too much money that will create a whole series of letters for you, which is what a lot of corporate companies do, is they'll create their own font, their own alphabet, and then they use that. And you can only, you can buy that font and it is yours, you own it. And then you can use that in your logo. You don't have to use it on all your text on your website, but you could. But you don't have to. But the goal is that you at least have something that's very customized for you. All right. Second option is to use just your initials or a symbol for your logo. And then you can add to that the name and title thing like we talked about before next to it. So your initials. So for me, it would be like BB for Brandon Berkmeyer. So I'd put two B's, right? And then I can either just leave them as that, as just two B's, or I would surround them in some way. I could add a box around them. I could add a circle around them, or some other kind of, a line that cuts through the background or something, if I wanted to. So some kind of point of interest to add interest to those letters I could do, or some unique shadowing or 3D effect, whatever that might be. But start with the two letters and pick a font that you like, and then cleverly see if you can make those letters look like something in a unique way, right? And if it helps, you can draw that stuff out, by the way. When you get to this point, you could draw these things out by hand, and then you can screenshot them with your phone or take a picture of them with your phone. And then you can add them to a graphic design tool like Canva and remove the background. So it's just the letters, right? So for all this stuff, by the way, if you guys are out there building, you can go to a tool like Canva and create all these things yourself. It's one of the easiest tools out there, and it's free for the most part. And play around in that space, type in the letters, see what they all look like. And that's going to help you see and visualize what this could be for a show like yours, or for a brand like yours and a logo like yours. The other thing is, if you guys want to download that, you can go to brandsonbrands.com/Canva, and that'll give you some options to set that up. So the other thing is, initials or a symbol is what I mentioned. So for a symbol, you can use something that represents what your brand is. So for branding, like me, I might use the BB, or I might use something else like a hashtag, right? Like the hashtag symbol could be my logo if I play with it and create a unique one in some way, or a camera or a microphone or something like that, right? Just think of what icon you immediately think of when you think of your industry. And you can use that as your symbol. You can use that as your symbol plus your letters of your name, or just that symbol. And you can even type in icons for your industry, like in Google search, and see what pops up, and then create one based on what you see is more common, so that you have a simple symbol. But again, I would use that as your kind of main icon. And then next to the icon, I would write name and title, just like we did before. Full name and then title under that. The third option is to use a signature. Now, this is kind of a newer approach that a lot of people have started to take, which is, some sort of flowy script handwriting that represents your name. That is your name that represents your logo. So think of it as, kind of as if you had written or signed something, what that would look like. And again, depending on the length of it, you could write just your first name and last name, or you can write just your first initial of your first name and your last name, depending on how long it is. But I would write your whole name. I wouldn't shorten your last name or something like that. I'd write your name out. And then if you do something shorter, just use the initial for your first name. And then again, under that, that's handwritten, but under that, I would write your title in regular font, not in handwriting, but in regular typed font, so that that's not like some weird signature. So you have your signature that's more personal, it's you. And then under that, you have your title in regular letters. So that's your third option. And what I would caution with this is, not to use your real signature, all right? Nothing that you would actually use to sign checks or things like that. Nothing official that people can now forge because you've given it to them, right? I would create, a fake signature that's more like an autograph that you would give. So, you can exaggerate the first letter, like for me, my B would be more exaggerated. And then the end of the signature could be like a funny loop that's a little larger, that's also exaggerated. So think of it more like an autograph versus a signature that you would use on official documents, but it's script that represents your name, right? And what's great is you can just type that in using fonts that are already available and see how it looks. And then you can add to that and edit that and layer that. Or you can actually get a piece of white paper and sign, not the way you would sign a document, but just sign your name in like an autograph type format and take a picture of it. And again, upload it, remove the background, and now you have it. A great way to do that, is with more of like a thick marker, not a pen. And even better, if you can get a specific calligraphy type marker, that's going to look the best. And you don't have to be a calligrapher to do that, but just sign your name with some exaggerated letters in a way that you like. And if you want that, but you just don't feel like you have the skill for that, then ask someone else to do it. Or again, you can go on Google and hire companies, whether it's a freelancer or a company that does this specifically, to create a signature for you that is more designed. And that gets a little more expensive, but it is an option, especially if this is something you're going to carry with you into the future. And then they get fancy with it. They, make it not just black and white. Sometimes they can make it look like metallic or things like that, or more 3D. So those are options for you. Again, what I like about all these is it is a simple way to create a logo without wasting a lot of your time. It is true to being personal, to a personal brand. It represents you like not many other things can, and it gets the job done. So I would start with something simple if you're just trying to get it done, but look at some of the other options. If you're out there and you're looking and you're struggling for what you think would really represent you. Nothing can represent you like your name. So I hope that helps. That's my advice for today. And if you guys appreciated this episode, go ahead and hit up Instagram, take a picture of it, snapshot it, and post it and tag me at Brandon Berkmeyer, and I will comment on it. I hope you guys enjoyed our lessons for today. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.
You've just taken your marketing knowledge to another level with this episode of Brands on Brands. But we have plenty more ways to help you build a brand that matters. Head over to brandsonbrands.com for resources, as well as access to our blogs, videos, and exclusive coaching sessions with your host. Be sure to visit brandsonbrands.com.